Hey, what's up, everybody? Or should I say, aloha. Let me welcome everybody back to Roll With It, BJJ Travel podcast, where we don't just talk about rolling on the mats, but also rolling with the things life throws at you, especially during travel. I have now moved to Hawaii, and let me tell you, it has been a transition. It's all good. It's all been great until COVID-19 or coronavirus or Rona, however you know her. She came and turned us all upside down. Our lives have all changed. So on this episode, Rob and I got to sit down and talk about how this virus has been affecting us. Even though we haven't actually gotten sick, it's still affecting everybody in one way or another. So we're going to share a little bit about how it's affecting us and how we can expect to move forward. Enjoy. What's up, everybody? This is Eva and Rob. We haven't been able to sit down in a while to talk. I think it's been like a year. But we wanted to welcome...
about a year or so.
Right? But we wanted to welcome everybody back to the show, Roll With It, BJJ Travel. And we just want to talk a little bit about this quarantine thing going on, this whole COVID-19 thing. And just see what's going on with everybody and what you've been up to, Rob. Man, it's been like a year. And we chit-chat a lot. We always talk on social media and stuff like that. But, you know, I've been seeing you post a lot of stuff. Are you teaching now, too?
I've been teaching for a while now at the gym. Well, obviously not right now. But, I've been teaching pretty regularly there pretty much since I got back. It's, different nights, depending on my schedule and how it's going. It's kind of changed the nights throughout the year, but like right now, I do a morning open mat, and depending who's there, it's either just kind of rolling or going through some things, right? But it's been fun.
Shit, and congratulations on the purple belt too. Happened last year, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got that in October. Yeah. Thanks.
How was that, man?
Yeah.
I know we talked about it for a minute, and you were not necessarily anxious waiting for it, but you knew it was coming.
Yeah, I mean, I was a blue belt for 5 years. So, I mean, I know my experience and my skills and stuff are all there. It took me a while to get confident to want the belt, to actually want to be okay with it. Just that mindset, right? But like as far as it goes in the gym at our place, like it really doesn't matter, right? You're still training and rolling with everyone the same. But this last year has been a bit different. Being like, I returned and I'm like a senior belt at my gym, and there are students that's all they've ever known me as is that senior guy there. So I have people coming up, and because I teach class, they call me coach and stuff, right? And it's kind of weird. I know like the last Globetrotters camp I went to, I did kind of feel a bit different trying to talk to people, like the usual group I see at Globetrotters, no problem, but like newer people that I know there, I don't know, I guess they see me as a senior student, so it's I noticed it was a bit different. Not everyone was willing to roll with me at open mat, so.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
But you know what? Funny enough, that wasn't always just because of the belt. I don't know why. I always find it hard to get people to roll with me, especially at camps. I swear, I'm like a freaking... They call you a panda. I'm a freaking panda. I just kind of lay there and like, okay, let's work on something.
Yeah.
I was like, somehow, I don't know. Somebody told me that they thought I was like really intimidating, and I was like, not at all. I'll play guard all day long if that's what you want. Like, I just want to roll. I want to be able to sweep you and then go back on my back. Like there's no mean rolling.
Yeah. I think as much as jiu-jitsu goes on about, it's not about size, a lot of people really do look at size when they're looking at who to roll with or drill with, right? Um, and it's funny because not always does it mean because you're bigger that you're going to be more aggressive or stronger or whatever, right? So,
Right.
um, like, yeah, I'm sure I've told you about that, how I was in Hong Kong and I met Anthony Bourdain, and he totally ducked me the whole week. Anthony Bourdain would not roll with me because he even straight out told me I was too big for him, right?
Wait, who?
But Anthony Bourdain,
Shut up.
yeah.
Dude, he's like, oh my god, he was like one of my freaking like idols for food and travel. Like, and then when I found out
Yeah,
he was doing jujitsu, I was like, god damn, like I need to meet this guy. Like, man,
yeah, he was.
his passing was hard on me. Like, I was just like, fuck, there goes my dream.
Yeah. It totally wrecked me too. I mean, that was a few months after I met him, right? He was always one of my top guys idols that I'd love to ever meet. So when I had the opportunity, I totally jumped on that. And then he ducked me the whole week. We'd sit around and chat and stuff, but he would never want to roll with me. And then he straight out told me it was because I was too big, right? But I was like probably the laziest guy there at the gym. It would have been the easiest role to have. And he passed me up to go roll with this little guy. But this little guy was like a Russian sambo uh, player with a jiu-jitsu purple belt and just destroyed him. And I just sat back watching him, being like, I bet he wishes he was rolling with me right now.
Right. Yeah. So when I first started jujitsu, I was coming right off wrestling, so I was in the best shape of my life. Then, like even when I look at those videos of me then, I was like, I would be afraid of me then now too because um I had the speed and the strength, had the perfect combo going on.
Yes.
I probably didn't have the skill set necessarily, but I was nominated I was dominating everything based on speed and strength alone. And I didn't have not even half the weight I have right now. So now I'm the complete opposite, and yeah, that sucks. I think that's one of the things that I've hated the most, like losing the speed of things. Um, but hey, I've noticed you've also been, so you're on this like journey to get to a certain number on the scale, right?
Yeah. I'm actually so I mean my end goal is more than that, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
so I'm doing in phases and it all I kind of decided to start a countdown or reshaping my diet and workout routine at the same time. My friend in Australia called me out on this challenge, a 90-day challenge. So it's like do something active for 30 minutes or more, you know, once a day for 90 days straight. And of course, we took it beyond that and just started, seeing, training hours at a time, every day and, twice a day, whatever. Um, and said, because we were supposed to meet up in San Diego this summer, so it was kind of like a playful challenge to see who had the most beach body ready uh, body by the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once the 90 days were up, I switched up my hashtag to, road to kind of thing, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started, and I think when I started the 90 days to the goal I'm at now was about 30 pounds out. But I'm not looking just to cut weight. I'm looking to, you know, build muscle properly and do it gradually, right? Because it's easy to just starve yourself and be like, oh, I hit this goal, but then you gain it all back, right?
Right.
So, so I'm slowly going for it, kind of thing. And then once I hit that goal, I roll out with the next goal to be another, so many pounds a little lighter than that. And just kind of, step by step, keep yourself motivated. So.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and because I kind of want to, like, talk about this.
Yeah.
When I started seeing, like, earlier when we started talking about, hey, let's get together and do a episode again, I kind of started thinking, like, what are we going to talk about right now? Because neither one of us has traveled as much as we were.
Yeah.
Especially
there's no traveling.
Well, I mean, I've gone to the Bakar Yard or something like that. Bakar Yard. I don't know. To my fucking backyard. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Your house is all broken up into every room's a different bar, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. So that's what we did. We broke up the house into bars. Like every room's a bar. But then we realized, like, oh shit, where's the actual, like, chill place at? Because even the garage is a gym right now. So if you're gonna be in the garage, you got to be working out. And so we decided to make the backyard into a little oasis there, so that we could not be clubbing and drinking all the time. But something I wanted to ask you was, because I also had my blue belt for a long time. Actually, it's kind of like, now it's a joke. It wasn't then, but now it is. That I kind of had, like, a slap to the face with a green belt when I was, like, I think I got promoted to that when I was, like, 18 or 19. I think I was 19. Can't even fucking remember. But supposedly the owner of the gym came and said, like, oh, we're moving to this new belting system and adults will have green belts now. So meanwhile, everybody,
we have that at our gym too.
Okay. Well, so here's a slap to the face, right? Everybody that I started with, like, I think only 2 of us actually had wrestling background too. But everybody else was straight up white belts, just like all of us. However, they all got their blue belts. Some got blue belts and stripes on them, and I ended up getting a green belt. And I mean, at the time, I didn't know Jiu Jitsu very well. I didn't know the sport too well, so I was freaking ecstatic to have a green belt. And then that night, we all went out, partied to celebrate the promotions. And then somebody says, you do realize you just got slapped in the face. And I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, yeah, there's only 2 girls in the gym, like, white belts, and you got a green belt and she got a blue belt. I still don't know why they came about or anything like that. Point is, I had a green belt for like a year, moved to another school, got promoted to blue, went back to another school, to my original school, because I was moving around a lot, and went back to my original school.
Yeah.
Got stripped of that blue belt, got the green belt back on, and then I wound up getting married and moved to a complete different state. And when I got to the other school, they were like, we don't fucking do that here. Like, take that green belt off. So I had to take it off, put my white belt back on. And then I finally got my blue belt. And then I stayed there for quite a bit of time. But,
so all in all, like, how long was it between, like, how long was it that you finally went from white to blue and from blue to purple?
So from white to the last time I had to remove my blue belt, I think it was about 5 years. Because it started in 2010.
That's crazy.
In 2011, almost 2012, I think, or 2012, I got my green belt. And then all that on and off thing happened. And then in 2015, a really good friend of mine that I met through jiu-jitsu camps was like, okay, I'm gonna certify your blue belt because this is bullshit. Like, you've been having to put it on and take it off every time you go to a new gym. So no. So he certified my blue belt in 2015, and then I got my purple belt in 2017, I think. Something like that, like towards the end of 2017.
So you're So you were okay. So you only really had the blue belt for about 2 years, but it was like 5 years of back and forth kind of thing before that. Yeah, that's
Right.
crazy.
Right. So, I mean, it didn't really it did affect me as far as like competitions went. Um
Yeah,
because as long as I had that green belt, I had to be registering under white belt because competitions don't have green belts for adults.
yeah, yeah,
So, I couldn't just register as a blue belt when I hadn't officially like been allowed to keep my blue belt on. I felt, you know.
yeah,
But then it
yeah,
felt like shit competing against people that have only been doing jiu-jitsu for like 6 months to a year, while I've been doing jiu-jitsu for nearly 4 or 5 years at this point.
yeah. I understand that. We've run into things like that in competition as well. Not me personally, but people I've competed against, where they're obviously way better than what they were wearing, but their school kind of wouldn't give them a belt. Um, yeah, no, I understand.
So, I mean, by this point, I moved to Germany and I had just decided to. I competed once and I had to compete with, well, and I had gained a lot of weight by then too. So, Europe isn't very keen on having a lot of women that are on the heavyweight
Yeah,
brackets. So, I did one tournament and just the size and skills levels, like it was just too much of a difference. And I felt literally like crap. Like, just like it was bad. So, it literally looked like I
like
was
bad for
trying.
them.
Right, like it just looked like I was trying to sandbag people.
Yeah.
So because again,
Oh, okay, I
I had the
see.
size and the skill level, you know. So I
But you didn't have the, yeah.
so I just decided not to compete for a hot minute there, and then by the time I actually got my purple belt, which was I think like a year and a half before I left Germany, that's when I started competing again a little bit. But there was still like weight difference with some of the like weight with the
Mhm.
women there. So I had to do an IBJF just to see like now there was some more fitting women there too. Um but yeah, no, then I got like I did Naga and the girls didn't want to go with me in Naga. Like all of them backed out except one girl. And I wish I knew her name because we actually faced each other back to back in two different tournaments, like 2 weekends back to back. And I took the first one, she took the second one. And but she was the only one that was like, I'll go for it. Like I'll compete against you. And I think she's a blue belt. And then right after I had my match with her, I got thrown into the 100 kilo plus men's bracket, uh, purple and brown belt. It was a purple and brown
That's
belt,
just crazy.
and I was like, what the fuck? So, but my
Yeah.
students were there, so I felt like I couldn't really back out of that challenge. Like I was like, I mean, if I get my ass whooped, I don't think anybody can really say anything. I am going against men that are 100 kilo plus, purple and brown belts, mainly brown belts. I think there was only one guy that was a purple belt. Everybody else was brown. Um, oh, there was one
No,
black belt too.
I mean, in the day though, I don't think it really would matter, you know, whether it be men or women, right? I mean, you're in a bracket of higher belts anyways, right? So
Right,
it it would have been a hard competition regardless. But I
right,
mean,
correct.
I don't really like, as much as I love and would love to win all the competitions I go into. I think if you were actually to put all my competitions like together, you'd realize like I have a really bad record. I lose most of my matches. I'm just there to have fun, and I'm not doing this as a sport to be a competitor in, right?
Mm.
So, uh, win or lose, let's go out and have fun, and kind of gives me more motivation to go back to the drawing board and fix my game, make it better, right? And it's all just those goals to help motivate you to go in every day and just continue to learn and grow, right? So
And I feel like there's a two different type of like mentalities in the sport, and neither is wrong. I feel like there's people that enjoy the sport and want to have fun with it and want to grow with it, and then there's people that are driven by competition, and that's very much where I come.
Yeah,
Like that's me right there. Like I enjoy the art of it, but training gets
yeah,
really stale for me if I don't have a competition in mind. And I think that just comes from the way I was raised when I was like growing up with sports and academic, I competed in everything you can think of just because that's how much I love competition. Like I competed in a fucking quilting club competition. Like we had to sew blankets together. Um I can't, man, like there was some like debate teams. I was in the debate team. I was the first in the state of Texas to be like a freshman to compete in a debate team, and that was like unheard of. And my coach at the time was like, I had to do a speech about it, and he's like, "Do you have your speech?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "When are you gonna work on it?" I'm like, "Sometime." The day of the competition, he's like, "Do you have your speech with you?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I don't write stuff ahead of time. Like I just wing it." And he was like flipping shit on me. Like he was like, "I can't believe I trusted a freshman to do this," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Dude, chill out. Like just this is the way I work. Like believe me, it's gonna turn out." And I got freaking first place. And he was like, "You are freaking lucky you got first place because otherwise you would have been off the team in a heartbeat." But like I said, I just like to compete. Like that just drives me. Um,
yeah, and there's a lot of people who are like that, right? Who have that competitive edge, right? Like for me, I mean, I love within the gym. I have that kind of competitive edge. Those frenemies, right? You have your arch nemesis in your gym that you want to beat all the time, um, and that your training partners, right? Um, that helps get me out to the gym and have fun training and drilling and rolling with them. But as far as like always competing, like there's guys in my gym that if there's a competition anywhere around here, they'll go their way and you know take the ferry over down to Seattle for the weekend and stuff. I just can't be bothered to do that all the time.
mm,
Like if it's a local one, if the only big one I really care about is the military one because that's back home. So I'm going home and seeing my parents at the same time, right? But yeah, I mean it's fun. I like to get out and compete, see some of the guys if I've that I've competed against before and stuff. But it's not my main reason for doing it, right? But I mean, there are other guys that do it like that. There's people that just don't compete at all, right? There's
so
people that,
and that's kind of like
yeah,
where I noticed my game starting to change a lot more now, um, because I wasn't competing as much in Germany, and I did have the Jiu Jitsu program that I was running there, the kids Jiu Jitsu program that I was running there. Um, then I got them to start competing, and we were wrecking house out there. Just saying. But um, when I noticed that how each kid was very different and each kid needed a different type of technique and stuff, it made me start to have to train different techniques, different uh, options for anything, takedowns, submissions, anything. Um, and then when I moved back to
yeah,
the States and started training with my coach, I realized like, holy hell, like I have a big hole in my game that I need to like step up. Because I was competing a lot, but I wasn't venturing out on moves because what I was doing was working just fine, which still does. But as you move up in belt rank, I think you start to notice that like one trick pony's not gonna cut it.
yeah, exactly. What was it? Danaher the Americana, he says, is probably one of the most useless or lowest rate moves. He says like when you first start off, at the lower ranks, when you're in white and blue belt, the Americana is usually everyone's favorite move. But once you get, purple and beyond, its success rate rapidly drops, kind of thing. And because that's what is so common, right? I mean, it's just like triangles, right? There's so many people get caught in triangles constantly when they're starting jiu-jitsu because they just don't think right. Like, don't think about defending themselves in the guard and getting out of it, or they're not realizing they're falling into triangles all the time. But then, when you get higher up in belts, you don't see that as often. You really have to work for them, where the person is just someone who's like very good at them, kind of setting them up, kind of thing. It's not something you'd see, right? So yeah, I mean,
I don't know about
everyone's game.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about the Americana so much because, I think if you have a strong wrestler who can get a good side control on you, the Americana becomes very feasible. That's actually what I won at Euros with at purple belt. It was a Americana from side control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, it's if you look up down here, just talk about it, he explains a bit more than what I'm saying, but it's obviously for those who are good at it, it's going to work, right?
Right. I mean, I understand what. Yeah, I understand what you're
but
saying.
if you're watching like worlds and stuff, you're watching top black belt competitions, you don't usually see too many Americanas, right?
And you know what? Actually, that's funny that you bring that up. So I've been like, there's nothing to do during this quarantine, so I just watch a lot of film and a lot of like jiu-jitsu stuff, but and a lot of other stuff. But what I've noticed is that the matches that I enjoy the most are purple and like early brown, the ones that just got their brown belt. I feel like I don't know why black belts. You can analyze them very well and learn some good like tricks and stuff, but that too, I've noticed they become a little stale unless they're like the big names that are moving a lot. Does that make sense? I don't know. I was just like, as you're mentioning that, I was thinking like how I've enjoyed watching purple and early brown belts matches a lot more than any other belt.
Probably because of the level of comprehension, because you're an experienced purple belt, right? So if you're is at your level, or maybe you're even more knowledgeable, like, so you're able to watch it and know what you yourself be going on it, and kind of be a par with them, or but if you're watching like what was it, Ryan Hall, when he did that heel hook to BJ Penn, like how many replays did you have to do on that to see how he set that up, like how fast that roll came in, I mean, there's and I find that's my case anyways. I know watching a lot of high level black belt games, it's like you kind of get lost trying to follow them, right?
Right, and that's what I was saying. Like
go back and watch the replays.
That's what I was saying. Like those that move around and have like a strong technique on something, those are like so good to watch because you find that they catch people with whatever technique they want, regardless. Like him, like Hall, regardless of where the person's at, he will catch you with a leg attack because he wants to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I like watching a lot of Gordon Ryan stuff because he actually it's not just his own game. It's kind of his, like, he tailors his game kind of more towards who he's competing against, right? So I mean, not gonna just lump back and wait for a heel hook to fall in place. Yeah, but yeah, I gotta be honest, I haven't really been watching much as far as jiu-jitsu goes. I've never really watched a lot of videos. Like I watch the odd kind of highlights here and there, or the odd like quick like instructionals. Like my friend Kent Peters, Zombie Proof BJJ. He does those quick kind of cool breakdowns on Instagram. I watch a lot of those, but like I don't really, unless I am teaching and I'm having to look over some things that I want to get the better details to that I want to teach for a class. I don't really watch a lot of videos too often.
And I used to not, but I was thinking about at one of Chris Gargart's seminars, like he talked about how he would take like 3 moves, I think, and he focuses on that until like for a certain amount of time, like in an extensive amount of time, and it kind of caught my attention.
Like 3 to 6 months, yeah.
Right. So
like
then
3 moves and just works on those 3 for like 3 to 6 months, yeah.
So that really caught my attention, and again, because I'm the type that I like one move and I'm gonna drill the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Until I feel like if that move presents itself, I'm gonna be able to catch it right away. So when I heard him talking about that, then I realized, well, in order for me to actually feel where this move is at, I got to see a bunch of other people doing it and seeing where they're getting it from. And that's what kind of drove me to start watching a lot more tape. I mean, we did it as wrestlers. We watch tape all the time. But it was mainly to see like what specific thing the opponent was going to do. And I kind of took that as well. And I was like, well, he's practicing his moves all the time. Now, he has living, breathing jiu-jitsu for ages. So he possibly doesn't need to actually watch any more tape or anything like that. He just trains it over and over.
Well, he's also not setting up for competition either, right?
Right.
So
that's why I started watching tape, because I wanted to see like how different people were finding this position, and all throughout weight classes, because I have to fight more women in different weight classes than, let's say, men typically have to, because of the extensive weight classes you guys have. So I would just watch say what?
I was saying it's kind of slim pickings for the upper heavyweights as well, for regardless of gender. It's usually a pretty small bracket for me as well.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
And that's anyway, yeah, that's why I started watching a lot more tape, trying to see like, how so and so would do it and from what position they got to, and I would watch their matches. Because typically they'll mention it. Like if they're showing an instructional, they'll mention like, oh, I did this during this tournament to this person or whatever. So if there's tape of that, I'll go and pull it up and and I'll watch the match so I can see everything unfold onto that specific moment.
Yeah.
There was actually I was watching I think it was Euros or something, maybe last year. I can't remember what tournament it was, but I was watching on Flow Grapple, and or maybe some years back, I can't remember. But Lilo Asensi, who's a black belt too from Globetrotter camps, I was watching her match, and it was, so as I was watching, it was crazy because I saw her do a little quick like foot foot move that set her up perfectly for what she was going for, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like that was badass. So anyway, later on when that video was up for replay, I was able to rewatch it, and it was like sure enough, it was that little move. So I messaged her and I asked her, I was like, "Was this intentional?" And she was like, "Yeah, like you have to do that. If not, this isn't that's happened." And I was like, "Oh, holy hell!" Like yeah, like so. Yes, I like watching higher belts for like instructional like stuff, but as far as like
Yeah.
entertainment, sometimes I enjoy like purple and brown belts a lot more, just because
Okay.
I feel like as your knowledge grows in sport, you also see a lot more of the pros and cons to doing something. Like I could go for this attack, but I have to be prepared for, A, B, and C. As opposed to
Yeah.
like a purple belt doesn't necessarily know all the adversities that are coming after you do something. So there's still kind of like a fearless thing. And I noticed this when I started teaching because white belts don't necessarily know all the. That's where you get the Americana from close guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they don't really know like what exactly is happening. So then they're in close guard and they're like, oh, let me just reach all the way across this person's torso and try to Americana them. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's where I play. Like the guys know it. Like that's where I really like to play my defense game. It's just kind of let white belts attack me, and I just kind of play the panda guard and just lie there and let them try to get take back or whatever, get their hooks in, and just slowly kind of like defend, right, until there's an opening to sweep in or something, and then you work on a technique with them, and then kind of build it up to the guys, the blue belts and purple belts, and and see how well it can go off until a purple belt or whoever just kind of shuts you down, so you know where your that technique level is at, kind of thing.
right, yeah. So anyway, I don't know how we just ventured out all the way over here on this part of the conversation, but I wanted to ask you another question, which was, um, do you think that being not necessarily bigger but out of shape and big puts you at a disadvantage when it comes to promotions?
No, like, so I've never been in a gym where it's all about just performance, right? All the gyms I've been at that I've trained at have been about curriculum, right? So I've visited a lot of gyms where it's been all about performance and there's no curriculum, and eventually you just kind of suddenly get a belt kind of thing. I get it. uh I but I kind of, to me personally, uh I prefer there kind of being a curriculum involved, just so that there's something to go over, right? Otherwise, like I've run into people who are senior belts who don't know some things that other schools are teaching as some foundations, because they didn't have a curriculum at their gym. So here's someone who's only working on three things because that's his game, and it's purely competition styled, and he's only worked on three things his entire career, and he's really good at doing those three things, and he has all these medals, and he's got a purple belt, and he's an amazing guy. But then there's these certain foundations that he never worked on because he never had to, because there's no curriculum, right? So yeah, but for me, like I understand some gyms are like I won't promote a fat person kind of thing. um Now, as far as it goes, like my fitness, the only thing where that comes up is just being able to scramble. right? Like I don't have that athleticism to scramble as long as or as fast as someone else. But we're doing jujitsu, not doing CrossFit, right? So I mean, like when you saw like the like Andre Galvo's videos, he always goes on about technique, but it's like you watch his highlights that he's saying is all technique, and it says him being really fast and strong on someone rather than actually, he's like outrunning the other guy, right? I'm like, that's a lot of them. I understand technique is using athleticism, right? But um, to me, you shouldn't be relying on athleticism as a marker for technique, right? Especially not in the lower belts when growing, like moving up the ranks. It should be all about that, those foundations, those techniques, those concepts, right? So yeah, it's never played a factor with me other than when competing. So yeah.
That's a really good perspective as far as having a curriculum versus, because I think the way I started was, I mean, I don't know, again, because I was with that gym for quite a bit, but I didn't know a lot about the sport yet. So I can't really say whether or not we had a specific curriculum that we followed. I mean, we definitely, it wasn't like a Gracie school where you have like your little like kindergarten thingy. What's it called? Um,
Oh, those punch cards or whatever.
yeah,
I
punch
know.
cards.
Yeah, there's some of those. Yeah, I think it's the Henner Gracie lineage of the Gracie family. I think he does that where they have the cards and whatnot. Like we're part of Gracie lineage. We're all under Pedro Sauer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Sauer goes by the old school curriculum, but it's not to the point where there's like a report card kind of thing to it all. Um, but I mean, it's a teaching tool. That's all. Um, yeah, I mean, everyone's got their own way of teaching, and they have their own. It's just like everyone's reason for doing jujitsu is different. Everyone's way of teaching jujitsu is different, right?
Right.
So,
So
like I know people who train without curriculums at all, um, and they're good at what they do, and I don't knock other schools when they're not having curriculums,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
There's
so I don't,
more than one way to do it.
yeah, I don't, again, I don't remember if we did or didn't have one, but I know we focused, or the gym owner focused a lot on um physique, like making
Yeah,
sure you looked apart, to part, like making sure you were fit.
like doing a 20-minute like workout at the start of class
Oh
kind of
yeah,
thing. That's
definitely.
your warm up. Yeah,
Usually after class there was like it was I can't remember what the classes were called anymore, but I yeah, there was like a 30-minute warm up. Then we had the class, and then at the end of class there was like almost like a hit program, like a hit jujitsu program, where you would like work out again. And this was like strip your gi off.
yeah,
Now we're gonna like do some actual like fucking.
yeah, and that's all straight up competition. Get everyone their athleticism up, right? Endurance and whatnot. Because I mean, they as much as we promote jujitsu as technique beats strength. Um, you're not going in to a competition hoping you have better technique than your opponent. You're going in hoping that you can outlast your opponent with your athleticism, right? So like so you know um, yeah, it's not for me. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that stuff. I love rolling and training and stuff. If I don't really want to go and do laps and do a whole workout session so that I'm tired, to do what I want to do,
Right.
right? That's like, you know, like, you know,
I
if I want
know
to watch a movie.
I know back then, being 17, 18, I enjoyed it, especially cuz I had a lot of tension in real life. So, I needed to let off steam that I kind of couldn't during rolling cuz I didn't want to be that asshole that was like that white belt's pass. Um
Oh yeah, and it's great for younger people, right? It's
right.
absolutely great for younger people. But as you get older, you don't really have your muscles and joints don't really have that kind of forgiveness in the morning.
Tell me about it. First thing I did this morning was drink some joint pills and some. I literally like I have all this like supplement routine to help out with
Okay.
soreness and joints and um a bunch of other shit too. But um
Yeah.
and I don't even think I'm not even old. I'm just out of shape. So I need everything I need to help me out. Um to keep performing in to a certain level. Um, but anyway, so yeah, curriculums and stuff. I don't. Again, I don't know if I started. I don't think that school was based on a curriculum. I think it was you show up, you train, and you perform. You get your promotion. Um, and then that kind of that mentality stayed with me for a while until, like I said, until I started teaching. Then I realized, like, no, you need some kind of structure to know that you're actually learning something and not just repeating the things that are working for you right now. Because, like I said, once
Yeah.
once you start going up in rank, you realize you need more to your arsenal. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, it kind of sucks when you're sitting in class and you're like, hey, so what do you guys want to go over tonight? Or after class, a student comes up to you and asks you something, a move that's a complete not down your alleyway, right? Like, can you imagine someone come up to me and asking me how to do bambolos? Like I'm not going to be able to do it, right? I'm going to have to send them up to someone else in the gym to teach them, right? But I mean, yeah, when you're there and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, we can do, with their arm bars from that position," and if you're not an arm bar person from that position, right? If you don't do closed guard arm bars, all right, it's going to look pretty bad trying to teach weight belts how to do closed guard arm bars that you haven't done in like a year or two.
Right.
So yeah, it's good to have a curriculum to go over that stuff and to look back on, um, you know, when you're going to teach something that you don't really use as your A game kind of thing. But I mean, I've also found that a lot of schools that don't have a curriculum also don't have a lot of training time. It's more rolling, right? That's their training. So it's
Mm.
all live action kind of, okay, we might go over a technique. Okay, let's go over, you know, this armbar tonight kind of thing. Like
And
just rep that out a few times.
I guess that's the beauty of places like in America. There's a jiu-jitsu school almost in every corner now. Um, throughout the nation. Not
Oh yeah, I
you know,
mean across most places where like first world countries, it's like a pretty much a common sport nowadays.
so if curriculum's your thing, you go look for a school that has a curriculum. If it's not, then you go to the school that's not. That is competition oriented. Like I said, I am very competition oriented when it comes to my training. But I have learned that I have been able to improve my game drastically when following a curriculum. Um, my coach right now, I don't I don't know that he like necessarily shares the full curriculum with anybody. But I mean, he's a he's an ex Green Beret, so, or I shouldn't say ex because you never kind of stopped doing that. But um, um, it's almost like the Marines. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But
up at 4:30 in the morning every morning.
Right. I actually asked him once. I was like, "Hey, you want to go to a shooting range like one of these days?" And he was like, "Sure. What time?" And I was like, "Oh, we can go early." He's like, "Well, I can't between 4:30 and so and so." And I was like, "Why would I want to go shooting at 4:30 in the morning?" And then it
like I
clicked.
said, morning.
Right. And actually, I think he said somewhere like between 3:45 a.m. and like a certain, and I was like, why? And he's like, well, I'm at the gym at 4:30, and I was like, okay. Moving on. However, I actually really enjoyed. So I got to train at the home gym for a year, and I really got to enjoy it because he has his board and he writes down what we're going to be training on and stuff. And
Okay, I've seen that. Yeah.
But like for warm ups, right? We were doing like stand up drills or something, and I think, and you kind of forget how time, like when time's going by, when you're just solely focused on like learning. Because I got to be a student again, and this time it was with like somebody I actually like admired,
Yeah.
So
When everything kind of clicks, when it's something you're really interested in, where you got like really good partners, or a really good teacher, and you're like you're fully submersed in it now, right? Your brain's not wandering, and time just flies.
and he was like he was putting everything that I like freaking love together. Like he's a black belt in judo too, so it was like judo, takedowns and jiu-jitsu, and
Okay,
he would mix in wrestling with it. Like it was just everything to me. It was just every day I left feeling like I had learned so much. Like it almost made me like hate the previous years, because I was like, holy fuck, like if I'd been here this whole time, I can only imagine how much shit I had learned by now, But everything's a process and a journey, and I understand that. But still, it's sometimes it's hard to like just think about it that way, because I was like, damn it, like, and I was training a lot. I think I was in there like twice a day for a majority of the time, because I knew I was only going to be there for a year, so I wanted to like take in as much as I could. My body took a toll though too, so that's not to mention that. But I was happy knowing like, okay, like, and now I think this is a competitive side and the stubborn side of me, that I was thinking like, okay, it doesn't matter how hurt I am right now, I just want to learn as much as I can, and then when I'm gone, I can have like a month or two to recover.
That was when I was traveling. I was like that. I mean, I hurt my knee pretty bad, and just kept training for months and trying to find ways around what I could do without using my knee, kind of thing. Because I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to come back here again anytime soon, right? So, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, and that's how injuries just pile on, and
Right.
there's been all kinds of memes.
I was gonna say
There's been
maybe
all kinds of memes right now.
hindsight 2020. Maybe whenever like I'm 35 or 40 or something, I'll be like,
Yeah.
probably should have not done that. Like 2 months of recovery is not enough, but at least I know something by then. I don't know. Maybe by then it'll balance itself out. I don't know. We'll see. But hey, with the whole
honesty,
COVID, with the whole COVID-19, I'm not
Yeah,
guaranteed to live here like 3 weeks, you know? So
yeah, yeah.
I at least I enjoyed myself. Anyway, um, but that, I mean, that brings me to my other question that I've been hearing this over and over and over again. And something about it just doesn't necessarily click to me. And, but I want to know what you think about it.
What's up?
Getting in shape before starting jiu-jitsu.
Um, I think that's a fear reaction. Um, so I think it's more of a mental uh obstacle, right? Um, as far as I know, right, the way from what I understand, um, whenever we have obstacles in life, uh, our brain kind of comes up with excuses on how to minimize it so it's not really worth it, or that it's not practical to do, right? So it's like that when you're so I don't know if you know, but I used to do long distance running, right? I've run um, half marathons. This was I wanted to do, and I wanted to, I set the goal up and did it. And when you look into long distance running, they all talk about the runner's high and the mental wall, right? Where if you get into running enough, you get the high off the endorphins, and you just you begin to start enjoying running. But there's that mental wall that you have to deal with first, of like your body just not wanting to do the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to come up, and that wall is basically your body trying to tell you, you know, all these different reasons and why you shouldn't be running right now, right? Um, it's the same thing in basic training in the military. Like the average person only does like about 60% of what they actually body can do before they give up, right? And it's that wall of just like, oh, it's just not worth it, kind of thing. And that's what happens, right? Is you're so when you're like talking to friends, like, hey, you should come out to class and pick up jujitsu with us. I think you'd really like it. Well, that's them saying, well, I gotta get in shape first.
But I
Is
mean,
that
do you think there has to be? I mean, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from in a minute. But do you think, in a way, I mean, you still have to have some kind of um, physical activity before you go and try jiu-jitsu? You know what I mean?
no? I don't think.
I feel like that comment comes off as a blanket statement. Like, no, you don't come and train like as if you were going to do, you know, conventional gym workouts.
I think Yeah, I think with the right mental attitude, anyone in any physical situation can come out and learn jujitsu if applied right, right? I mean, I've at our school, like I've helped out with students. We had one person who was in a wheelchair who came out for a couple of nights, I think, and so we're trying to modify things to show him what he can and can't do, and help him out, right? We've had all kinds of people come through the door. There's people that have come that when they first came through the door that were quite overweight and out of shape, and then stuck with it, and now we're some of the top guys in our class because they just got that they got hooked on to jiu-jitsu, right?
But it wasn't
Um,
just jiu-jitsu
and,
alone. No?
yeah. I mean, I don't think I don't think they did anything else. I don't think they do anything else. No, I think it's just maybe just having a better diet. But I mean, that was with me, right? Always out partying and drinking and always eating fast food all the time,
And
and then
Speedos.
kind of, well, Speedos isn't a new thing. Okay, I I don't spend money on booze anymore, and
You gotta gotta find something else
all
to
the
spend it
gi
on.
industries, yeah, all the gi factories are shut down right now, so I gotta spend my money on something. Um, that was part of the Beachbody Ready attire, right? You gotta have Speedo, show it off. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, I think it really comes down to the mental attitude, right? Uh, so if someone comes in that's overweight and just out of shape, that's never really done anything physical before, right? Even if they're not overweight, if they're just never really done anything physical before, they're not gonna really know how to use their body, right? So they're gonna be dying on those first classes because it's completely new to them. It's all about the mental attitude to be able to accept kind of getting beat up and over again, right?
That's I just I'm about to finish what's his name? He owns Bear Performance. Let me ask Google real quick.
Well, what's the name of the company?
Bear Performance. His name's
Bear
Bear Performance Nutrition. If my wife was awake, she's taking a nap. But if she was awake, she'd be able to tell me real quick. Nick, because I don't want to. I want to make sure I get his name right. Because I feel like his book, it's short, and what I've been able to obtain from it, right? He was also a ranger, in the military.
Okay, yeah. The Goggins? No.
No.
Yeah.
Nick, I think his name is Nick Barron.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. But no, I mean, there's always a mental aspect, right? There's always a mental aspect to everything, right? It's varying degrees to it all on how much of it is more mental or how much of it is more physical. But, I mean...
Nick Bear. His name's
just
Nick Bear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But yeah, his name's Nick Bear.
Yeah, no.
His
Bear.
book, it's called 25-Hour Day.
Okay.
And, I got his book thinking, maybe I'll learn something more about time management and whatnot. But what I'm finding is that it's a lot more of changing your way of thinking. Like, it's just your state of mind, and the mental aspect of things that you do and the way you tackle things. What's your mental aspect, the way you're tackling whatever you need to do, whether it's work or, training, whatever.
And that plays a big deal. I mean,
and that's been like a constant thing that I've been working on this past year, like constantly having to fight the mental aspect that I know hasn't been working for me, but like old habits die hard. So having to push through those things and constantly purposely putting myself in humbling situations.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only way to grow, right?
I hope so, because that's what I'm trying.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked that question, because I was like, is it really that much of a blanket statement? Like, you don't have to get in shape to train jiu-jitsu. And it's not just, because it's not like I'm just starting. So it's not like somebody has to convince me and tell me that it does work, because I know it does for 100 different reasons, whether it's emotional, physical, or just personal growth, because jiu-jitsu like gives you a lot of that. It's crazy for other people that don't train jiu-jitsu, to think of it.
I find people
that way.
Yeah, I find my friends who don't train martial arts or do a lot of physical sports.
Oh my god, you have friends that don't train? How dare you
Yeah,
play with my
well,
bloods?
you know, I've had a very eclectic life. Okay, so I still have friends from my past lives.
With Speedos? No,
You
I'm
know,
kidding.
yeah,
I'm gonna keep
well,
bringing that up.
you know, I was a designer in Toronto, and I did make some small outfits. So that could be, but yeah, when when I see my friends who don't train in anything physical, um, post online about their day-to-day lives and the stress they're dealing with, a lot of the times it really is like you can tell they don't really they that they're not used to being in an adverse kind of situation, right? Um, is it you're they're they're just not used to it, right? Or their mental state isn't there, used to dealing with that stress or um, so what seems a lot more stressful to them, for instance, posting about the transit being late, you know, um, is really not that big a deal, right? But I just find uh, overall friends who train, like people who train, um, not just martial arts, but just physical activities, right? Their mental state is usually a bit stronger than someone who doesn't,
Somewhere where
right?
the
Because they're
physical body has to go beyond where the mind
there's
can
a, there's
take
a
over.
lot of yeah, there's a lot of mental training involved in putting up with that stress, right? So
Right. So, we'll I'll ask you one more question so that we can leave off on a good note, and I think people
yeah,
can probably take some away from this. I know we didn't share any like actual travel trips, but
well, there's no traveling right now. Anyways, I can talk about all the travel plans I had
right.
that just got canceled. You know.
Well, and I wanted to make sure people knew that we're not you and I certainly aren't people that are like filled with money in our pockets. I just travel for you know shits and giggles because we can.
uh,
Um, I mean, we travel
I wish that'd be
because we
awesome,
can, but
right?
not because we're just planet. Anyway, um, but you know what I mean. But I wanted to see what tips, and I mean, I could share the things that I've been doing so far, and I also wanted to know what you, in particular, do or have done to train the mental part of not just the sport, but in general. Like, how does either jiu-jitsu help you practice the mental part of life, or what things outside of jiu-jitsu do you do to help you with that?
um, well, see, in the gym, I'm always getting beat up, right? I mean, uh, I'm either letting like white belts beat on me, or I am rolling with my friends who are purple belts and up, and it may be a 1-for-1. I may have a good night. They might have a good night. But I mean, it's always being, in a bad position. Always being okay to get beat up night after night, kind. If all I did was just go in and beat on white belts, then I'm not going to progress myself, right? So I mean, even if you are a white belt and you're there training with other white belts and you're, you know, able to beat them all the time, well, then maybe you should be rolling with the blue belts now, kind of thing, right? Um, yeah. As for outside of the gym, I've always been really big on puzzles and stuff, right? when I'm playing video games, it's usually some kind of, you know, open world RPG kind of puzzle, strategy kind of game, right? Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, right? Just not like and like I always I have a gym routine as well and stuff. So I'm always keeping active, but I'm not full on gym crazy, meathead like. I just like being active, constantly kind of taxing the body and taxing the mind kind of thing, right? So
cool.
But I also practice a lot of meditation and stuff, and kind of, be able to let things go, right? Be able to, if all the small things in life get to you, then all the small things in rolling are going to get to you, and then someone's going to tap you out pretty easy, or you're going to get injured pretty fast. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that meditation was a great addition to to that mind aspect part. Because I found, Jiu Jitsu became my, I don't want to say like my goal, but that's what I'm working towards, just becoming better in Jiu Jitsu. So
Yeah.
I had to find other things outside of Jiu Jitsu to help me cope with whenever I was having a bad day in Jiu Jitsu. Just because when I started Jiu Jitsu, I was having bad days outside with, like just growing up, school, family, everything. So
yeah,
Jiu Jitsu was my outlet.
Martial arts started for me. Yeah, that's what martial arts for me started as a way of anger management, right? So going into class was for blowing off steam and, using up all that energy that would usually get me in trouble, right? As I've grown up, it's kind of actually found kind of one place where I actually feel at home, and where I fit in, right, is with everyone on the mats. So it's no longer about going off and blowing off steam. It's about going in and taking in all that positive energy, right? So.
Yep. All right, Matt. Well, come to that point in the chat where if you have any shout outs, this is your time.
Yeah, you know what? In this time where everything's kind of shut down and no plans going on, really don't have anything to shout out other than this, support your local club, your local businesses, and everyone show love to the health workers, right? So.
Yep, that's exactly where I was going to, man. I want to give a shout out to my coach, Alan Shabaro from McKinney, Texas, and everybody out there that's unable to train. I know it's killing everybody not being able to train with the badass, but keep supporting the gym, and also health workers, man. Like I hope people take this time to learn to appreciate them. I hate hearing those horror stories that my sister tells me because she's an RT, so she's important right now.
Okay.
She's the one that's keeping your lungs alive right now. But people just being fucking assholes in the hospitals, and I know there's times where the stress of having a family member in a critical position gets to you, but you gotta understand that the people that are there to help you. So especially around this time, we need to support them and be patient and kind, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that they're exposing themselves to this thing while we're sitting at home having chats about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know how my friends are able to cope with all this, and not having the outlet to go to a safe place and choke someone. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, we all do each other. We all get through it. I'm sure.
And yeah, hopefully I'll talk to you when all this is over. Hopefully it's not that long. Let's not wait a whole year again.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be on the mats again sometime.
Hell yeah, come out and visit, man.